a AeroScout wing, and you can see here in the corner, and this happens sometimes when the plane comes down and hits the runway or dips its wing, you take off a little bit of foam right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to repair it with some foam beads, some foam tack, and then we're going to use foam finish and foam filler to shore it up. Now it's not very big, I'm going to kind of sculpt it, but let me glue on some foam beads first.
Helper Cat says,
please like and subscribe.
Alright, if you can see that, I've built up a layer of beads right there, and what I'm going to do, I let it sit up just a little bit, long enough for it not to be tacky anymore. And I'm going to put another layer of beads. First we put a layer of foam tack. And I'm doing this with the camera in front of me, so it's not going to be very good, but you'll get the idea of how to do this. Put a layer of foam tack on there. Got little spider webs all over. And then you take your foam beads and you just start another layer. And I want this to be bigger than the actual, I want this to stick out. It's going to look like a big tumor or something, big old wart sticking out. And this ain't going to be perfect because I'm not trying that hard for this plane. I just want to make it look a little better and get it a little bit more aerodynamic here. But anyways, we will add another layer of beads, and of course, stuff is really sticky. You'll get it all over your fingers and stuff. Make sure we're going to build it up. That's pretty good, but we're going to build it up over this, and then afterwards, after this stuff cures, we're going to cut it down with a blade. But anyways, that's how you do it. You put the beads on there. I'm going to turn off the camera and finish this up. Alright, so I got both my layers on there, and we're just going to, still tacky, but it don't stick to your fingers. You can get those little balls stuck to your fingers, and until this stuff sets, it's kind of a mess. But once you get it in there, you just want to press it real tight so you get a nice, firm repair there. And you see how big we're going. We're going to go one more layer up just to make sure. So this is what we end up with. Looks like a big old wart or big old melanoma, big old cancer coming out of there. But we want to build it up much bigger than the area we want to fill or fix. Alright, now I'm going to leave that for 24 hours to cure, and tomorrow we'll cut into it. And what I'm doing, if you didn't see my last video on this, I'm using these foam beads here, and I got these from the Dollartree here in the US. $1 for a bag, really cheap. And this is just a pop bottle I made. We drilled a hole in the cap, so because these things are messy, this makes it easier to come out and kind of keep track of. And I'm gluing this together with foam tack. I haven't seen these things anyplace else. Like I said, I bought them at Dollar Tree in the US. I mean, maybe at the dollar store, what is it, Poundland in England? Markstrasse in Germany. No, I just made that up. I'm kidding. But I did look at the Dollar Tree website, and this is, they do have them online, so you can order these. They're $1.25 for a bag now. And they come in different sizes. But But that's just what I'm using. This technique I'm using is something I just made up myself. I went to the Dollartree one day and saw these bags and wondered what I could do with them. And I had a crash plane that was missing some foam, so I filled in the gaps with them, and it worked really good. Another thing I saw was somebody using Gorilla Glue, the foam up kind that fills gaps, and that's what I started using. And let me show you this. This is what Gorilla Glue ends up like. This repair is probably about 5 years old, but that's the foamy Gorilla Glue you get. It ends up being like just a big rock hard piece of plastic, and it yellows over time. I'm sure I could paint it, but that's it. It's a repair, but it's not as good as I get with the foam. So it's been 24 hours. This is nice and hard on there, and you can see how much stuff we got on there, and you see one fell off, and it's fine. That's why I build it up so much. It's because we want to have plenty of foam right here. And what we're going to do, these are cheap, long dollar store knives. And they're cheap, and they're not great blades. But the reason we use these is because of the length. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and I tried to put the camera this way so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to follow the contour of the wing to cut this off, and try not to obviously cut the wing. It's better if you have a new one of these right out of the box. I don't. But you see what I'm doing here is I'm cutting this down. The hard part is going to be the contour around. We're just trying to follow that around. Now this is going to be the hard part because there's really not much of a contour there. You can always, if you cut too much off, you can always add more beads. Alright, you see what I'm doing to kind of give that the same contour as the wing here. Now this ain't a very new knife. I could have probably used a better one, but I don't have it. But your best thing is to take this right out of the pack to use to carve this down. Let's see if this other one's any better. Well, it's actually a lot sharper. Alright, but you see how I'm just kind of trying to keep the contour of the wing there. And you can see we filled all that in. And we got the foam kinda where we want it. Now another thing, let me get something over here. So another thing we can do here, these are all sanding blocks I've made. This is just hot glued, sandpaper hot glued to paper. Alright, so I got different grits here, different grades. And what we can do is kind of shape this with the sandpaper here. That's a heavy grit. We're going to use a finer grit here. And sometimes I got red, and it'll take some red off, but that's okay. We'll just paint over it. Alright, I don't know if you can see what that's looking like here. Now I'm going to sand this a little bit better off camera. And again, like I said, if you get some big holes or a big chunk falls out or whatever, you can always glue more in and do this over again. But you can see how that's starting to look. So the next step here is going to be to sand it a little bit better, get it close. Like I said, I'm not going to do this perfect, but we'll get it close, and then we'll use the foam filler. But let me sand this a little bit better and get it off camera. So I got it sanded down. It's pretty much where I want it. Now you may not want to use red spray or red sandpaper because you can see it kind of stuck in there into the glue, the foam tack that's kind of sticking out of there. But if you notice, there's some bumps here. Now what we can do is we can glue more beads in there, let it sit up and cut it a little bit more to fill that gap. But that's where this stuff comes in. This is a foam tack foam filler, and it's basically just like a Bondo. It's made out of foam. And what I do, you're supposed to put it on with like a credit card, and what I did is I cut down an old credit card here so I could get it into the thing here. And what you do is you just take out some of this, and use it like a Bondo. Again, using the contour of the wing to fill that stuff in. So let me fill all that in and get it nice and even there. So it's been a couple days here, and you can probably see what our repair looks like now. I sanded it down. I stopped using the red sandpaper, and I got a little dark one here, and that brought it way down. The red's just in there. It won't do anything to the repair. It's fine. And I'm going to start trying to use one of these blocks right here. I always try to use something different or new. If something works better, I'm always happy to use it. And that's the same thing with repairing this. If you can come up with something better, different glue or whatever, you go right ahead. I'm just giving ideas of how I do something and what it ends up like. Now the next video I do is going to be painting this plane. I want to get this done this week so I can start flying it because it's starting to get warm. So it's going to be an easy paint job on this thing. But that's the wing after it's done using the method I just showed you here. It's not perfect, but you can see this compared to the before. Going to be the foam finish, and you use this the same way. It's thinner, and you put a thin coat on this. And like I said, what this does and why it's important is when you sand this foam here, it takes off the shiny, I don't know if you can see the shiny stuff on there. It takes it off and it makes it kind of spongy, and it soaks in the paint when you paint it, and you can see it really bad. And this is just simple. Just take a little bit of it and you just make sure it seals. It'll also fill in little holes, little divots, and I'll do that better off camera. But that's going to put the shine back on it, so when I paint it, it's nice and even paint. But tune in for the next video. Like and subscribe, please. And we'll show you how to do a real easy paint job on there. But that's fixing the wing.